Just want to give a quick shout out to a young content creator named Jack. I heard you're making some great videos. Keep at it, keep making them, and you're going to improve. Welcome back, everyone. Got a little bit of bad news today. The heat in the house is no longer working, so it's a little bit chilly inside. However, you're out of your damn mind if you think that means I'm going to put on a sweater for this video. Let's get to the topic. Prices on sealed games have gone up a lot over the past few years. And these prices keep climbing and at this point in time are really showing no sign of slowing down. For people who entered into this market years ago, you're now sitting on games that might have 10x, 20x, even 50x in value. And it's pretty crazy to consider, really. And sure, from here they may keep going up, but they also may not. And there's nothing wrong with turning some of these games into cash again, just to try and hedge a bit or even just lower your exposure to the market. But of course, in a lot of ways now we're dealing with $1,000, $10,000 transactions, and you may be questioning where you even go to sell these to capitalize on these gains. And for people who rushed into the market, do you even know how to sell the games when you do decide you want to? So what I want to do in this video is go over the 3 main marketplaces that you're going to use to sell graded and sealed video games. So what we're going to do is a little bit of pros and cons about selling on social media, selling on eBay, and consigning to a place like Heritage Auctions. And we're going to start with selling on social media. So when I say social media, I'm talking about your Facebook, Instagram, your Reddit groups, maybe a Discord, basically anywhere where you're not charged any kind of fees in order to use the platform. And that brings us to the first and greatest benefit of using these social media platforms. You as a seller do not pay any fees. I mean, sure, you might pay the 3% PayPal fee, but usually that gets baked into the price or is even covered by the buyer. On this, both you and the buyer will both save money, which makes the transaction more likely to happen. You can ask less for your item and still net the same amount of money, and that's huge. From the buyer's perspective, they are going to potentially save on taxes, import fees, commissions, or all of the above. So you may be thinking, well, those are levied against the buyer. It doesn't really matter for me as the seller. Well, yeah, technically it is, but you as the seller are the one who receives less due to those fees existing. If a buyer has to pay those fees, then they are also considering that they have to pay those fees. So that means if the buyer's budget is $1,000, they can't buy your game at $1,000. The fees and the taxes would put them over that. I'm going to break this down in a numerical example once we get to the eBay section, just to show you how much lower you can actually ask on social media while still netting the same amount of money for your item. Another great benefit to social media is you control the sale of the item. You set the price of the item. You do not have to sell it unless you want to. You can just put up a post and say taking offers if you want. You don't even have to put a price on it. With that, you have no risk of the item selling below the amount you want, which is pretty nice. As you're going to see with other examples, that is not always the case. But now we get into some of the drawbacks of using social media as your selling platform. The biggest one of which is you have an extremely limited buyer pool. I know it may seem like there's so many people in these Facebook groups or on Instagram or in your Discord, but the actual bulk of collectors don't exist in these social media groups. You have a decent buyer pool, don't get me wrong, but if you actually need to sell something and you actually need a large audience to do so, you are not going to find it in a social media group. There are plenty of items that simply will not sell in social media that will sell on eBay and for more money. I personally find social media works really well when you're using an item that already has established pricing. So if you're selling, say, a sealed Gauntlet Legends or maybe a sealed Call of Duty game where you can pop on eBay and you can see completed listings, you can see active listings, there's a whole lot of market comparison prices that you can take from. Then social media will work really well when you can just post your item for a competitive price and probably find a buyer. You both save on the fees, you're both happy, it all works out. So just to review social media quick, on the pro side we have no fees for the seller or the buyer, except potentially PayPal fees. You get to control the sale price of the item. You can take offers on the item with no actual obligation to sell. On the con side of things, you're dealing with an extremely limited buyer pool. That really is the biggest drawback of social media. If you actually need to complete a sale, you might need to just look elsewhere. So now let's talk about everyone's favorite love-hate relationship, and this will probably be the most common place where you sell any kind of graded video games. I'm talking about eBay. And right off the bat, we're going to move directly to the con side because eBay charges fees. And these fees are kind of considerable. So let's break it down a little bit with a numerical example. Let's say you want to walk away with $1,000 for your video game. And I'm pretty sure on eBay fees on my last few sales I paid 14.5%. That is after eBay managed payments and the eBay selling fee. So you want $1,000. So that means your buyer is going to have to pay, at minimum, $1,170 plus a shipping fee, let's say $15, in order for you to walk away with $1,000. But also, eBay introduced taxes on most sales. So then your buyer might also be charged state tax on the purchase, which let's say is 6%. So now your buyer is paying $1,170 plus the 6% state tax. This takes us up to $1,240. Slap back on the $15 shipping charge, and we're at $1,255 on the buyer's end. So if you were to pop onto eBay with your game worth $1,000 and you want to walk away with $1,000, you'll have to find a buyer who's willing to spend $1,255 so that you can have your $1,000. That is why even though these fees are on the buyer's end, you as a seller are going to feel them. So let's take it the other way, and let's say your buyer only wants to spend $1,000 on the game that's worth $1,000. Well, then he's going to have to send you an offer of $925, because after you add on the 6% state tax, he's going to be at $1,000. So if we look at that on your side of things, you're now getting $925 minus the 14.5%, which equals out to $790 net. And this isn't even considering any kind of customs fees that the person might have to consider, because that is also going to absolutely factor into the buying decision. So you can see how quickly buying and selling on eBay becomes messy from both the buyer and the seller perspective, and how much benefit there is if you can get the sale off of eBay. And this is why a lot of people simply do social media selling, because you can avoid all of this. If you have an item listed on eBay at $1,000, you are better off taking it to social media and asking $900, as you will net more to yourself than you would if you were to sell it on eBay. I'm not sure if a lot of people understand this, because you usually see people ask the same price on social media and then go to eBay and ask the exact same price again. And that just doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. The goal isn't to maximize the item's sale price. The goal is to maximize the amount of money you get after the sale. Keep in mind it is against eBay policy to try and get the deal to take place off of eBay. But I mean, there are some ways that you can get around it and organically try to get people to reach out to you. If you're going to make an eBay offer, always check if they exist on Instagram first. A lot of people do. However, even after all of this complaining about the fees, eBay is still going to be your best option for selling most video games. It's just the most liquid option out there. You get access to millions of people and a global marketplace. And that's what the fee is really there for. I mean, I guess it's also there to compensate every person who says item not received. But having access to this increased buyer pool means you're going to sell items on eBay for far more than you can on social media in most instances. So even with the fee structure, you're still going to make more money overall, so long as you price properly. On eBay, like social media, you can control the sale price and you can field offers if you just set a high buy it now with offers on. On the other hand though, eBay does offer you the auction option, which guarantees liquidity and a sale. And this is very nice if you simply want to sell something no matter what. eBay has a huge buyer pool and your item will, in most instances, go for very close to fair market value. If you have a really good item, an auction might be a great way to even get above the market or to set a new market price. I've had some very successful auctions that would not have done as well as buy it nows and vice versa. It's all about knowing your items and knowing your market. With the auctions as well, you could set a reserve in which the item will not sell unless you get over a certain amount. Reserves in general though do hurt auctions, and I wouldn't recommend one if you're serious about selling it. Most people don't bother bidding if there's a reserve because the reserves are usually set stupid high, which means you're not going to get a deal, which screws up buyer mentality, which it just becomes kind of a mess. But it does give you a safety net. I do recommend eBay for any type of game. You can do the super high end on eBay and you can do the lower end. You're very likely to find a buyer. So let's just review quick eBay's pros and cons. On the pros side, you get a global market of millions of people. You have the option to either control the price in a buy it now listing or let the market decide by running an auction, which also guarantees a sale. If you post a buy it now at a very high price, you can field offers or even build awareness about the item. And then someone could reach out to you on Instagram and complete the deal off eBay. On the con side, you are going to pay about 14% seller fees. Your buyer is also going to have to pay potential tax and import fees. And when I mention these import fees, I'm talking about the forced kind if you're using global shipping program. And also on the con side, and I know I didn't talk about this, eBay can be a super big hassle for returns even if you do everything right. So that is always going to exist there. That is just how eBay goes. They're inevitable. Now let's talk about our third option and the one that seems to be most popular these days. Your heritage auctions or other consignment auction houses. And these are the big places where you always see these new record prices being set. So why wouldn't you go sell with them, right? It's always setting new records. Surely it's the best. To which I would say yes, but no. I would not send every sealed game I own to Heritage for their auction. Again, let's talk about the fees to start. I'm pretty sure Heritage has a blanket 10% consignment fee that they start at. Now this fee can be negotiated, so make sure you try to. I'm pretty sure you can talk this down to 5%, even less if you have a really good desirable item worth a lot of money. So make sure you negotiate that. So for this example, let's just say you negotiated and you got the commission down to 6%. So you're going to pay a 6% seller fee. Now let's move to the fee that the buyer pays. So for any auction that ends on Heritage, the buyer has to pay an additional 20% buyer fee that goes straight to Heritage. So when an auction ends, the price without the fee is called the hammer price. and then the fee is added on. The buyer is always aware of the hammer price, so it is calculated into the bidding that's taking place. But you are only considered the hammer price without the 20%. So let's say you send your item to Heritage on a 6% commission and it sells for $1,000 after the buyer's premium. So this means that your hammer price was $834, and you're going to lose another 6% on that, or roughly $50. So if your game sells on Heritage for $1,000, you'll receive roughly $784. Going back to eBay and social media, on eBay you could sell the item for $925 and basically net the same amount, and on social media you could sell the same item for $800 and net the same amount. So now you can better see that if someone on social media is like, this sold for $1,000 on Heritage, I'm not going to take $850, well, they're kind of an idiot. They should take the $850 because they're going to get more than had the item sold for $1,000 on Heritage. You have to understand this fee structuring. And these fees only compound as the item goes up in value. Now, obviously, some Heritage sales are simply prices that you cannot get anywhere else. I understand that. I just want you to understand how it all works. So now that we're late in the video and no one's watching, we can get into some nitty-gritty information as to when I would use Heritage versus when I wouldn't. So with Heritage auctions, you are at the mercy of the sale price. They run auctions, and when your item sells, it sells. This is great because in the heat of the moment, it can mean two people could get into a live bidding war and your item could far exceed a sale price you could get anywhere else. The bidding that takes place on Heritage is an actual live auction style, where the bidding doesn't end until one of the two bidders backs out, versus eBay, which has a set end time, so bidding wars can't necessarily take place. The downside to that is someone doesn't show up to the auction and it sells for less than it otherwise would have. So with Heritage, the games that I would send there personally are your games like Pokemon, Halo, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, any of these huge household names that everyone knows about immediately. You don't have to be a collector to know about any of those games. You have to remember, Heritage has a smaller buyer pool than eBay does, but a lot of the people on Heritage have deeper pockets than your average eBay user. So when you consign to Heritage, you want to make sure you're sending them the biggest, most popular games or big condition premiums where you're going to get these people with deep pockets who really want to buy these items. You want an item that may make someone go, oh man, I remember playing that, and then they just bid impulsively. Those are the best kind of items that you can send to Heritage from everything I've seen. Heritage also ships worldwide, so for a lot of people bidding on Heritage, they may not even have the option to buy a different copy on eBay or another selling platform. This may be their only chance to obtain the item with someone who's actually going to ship to them internationally. And from what I've seen, a lot of Heritage users don't even use eBay compared listings to try and decide a price. It's not unheard of to see a Heritage auction just blow past any kind of eBay completed listing comparison. Okay, so what would I not send to Heritage? And these are what I call collector games. These are the games that have less name brand appeal and require deeper market knowledge to really care about. So just off the top of my head, some of these games might be like Tron Bonne for PlayStation 1 or Zombie Nation on NES, or even the Siphon Filter 911 art variant. Some of you may not even know these games I'm saying, which is the point I'm trying to make. Despite these games being genuinely rare and hard to find, they're not the type of games that do great in an auction. With these rare items that naturally have smaller buyer pools, you kind of want to be in control of the sale price more than you do with these big household names that are just going to get bids no matter what. Even just running an auction through eBay on some of these games might just net you a higher amount than you would through Heritage, especially when you factor in the fee structuring. There are a lot more eyes on eBay and a lot more collectors on eBay. So when you get into these niche titles, the people who are looking for them are probably on eBay and not on Heritage auctions. And the last thing with Heritage I want to mention is there's a pretty big time delay between your item selling and you actually getting paid. So when you start the process, you reach out and then you ship your game to Heritage, and they're going to put it into either one of their weekly sales or their signature auction. And the weekly sale that you get put into, due to the amount of volume they get, is going to be a few months away no matter what. The signature auction could be 6 to 8 months away. So once you finally get to the auction and your item sells, you're going to wait another month or two for the auction to finalize and for them to issue you a check. So from start to finish, you could be looking at 6 months to a year before you actually sell your item and get paid for it. And that's something you need to consider. 6 months to a year is a hell of a lot of time. In that time, the market could literally change. You could have 7 sales of the same game take place before your item hits the auction block. And by that time, there might be market saturation and the price has actually gone down. Obviously, that isn't the most common scenario, but it's something you need to consider if you're going to choose Heritage for your selling avenue. So let's quickly break down the pros and cons of Heritage. By using Heritage, you get to use Heritage, which has the possibility of way higher sale prices than you're going to see anywhere else on the internet. Heritage also handles all of the fulfillment on the item, which means you have no risk of returns, which is really nice. The item is also guaranteed to sell since they only run auctions. For the cons, you can't control the sale price. They run auctions. You're looking at a smaller overall buyer pool, which may prefer big names versus the niche titles. You have the highest fees out of the 3 options presented, and I am combining the buyer's premium as well as the commission, as these are both heavily taken into consideration. And you have a long wait to liquidity. Wow, That was a lot. So if you stayed through the whole thing there, thanks. And also, hopefully you gained the knowledge you need to make a decision on where to sell your games. A lot of the actual nuance is going to come from your own experience and your own market watching as to where games sell and what they sell for. What I talked about with Heritage comes from me watching auction end prices and comparing to eBay sold listings. You have to be able to notice these massive arbitrage opportunities, like when you see God of War selling on Heritage for $11,000 when it's sitting on eBay for $4,000 or $5,000. Like I said, you just have to get experience selling and you have to watch the market. Anyway, I've talked for way more than enough already in this video. Leave a comment down below if there's something I missed regarding eBay, Heritage, or social media, or maybe there's something you'd like to add to the conversation. Go ahead. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Which I do recommend eBay. Social media should always be a discounted. Plus 6% taste. So that means everyone is aware of this, right? eBay charges fees. You may think to yourself, okay, so when you go to a different, you can use this. So what I want to do in this video is go over. Now, obviously, Heritage is also responsible for people who are buying these.